Want to go with the question?
I heard a group of people outside in the lobby today at today's keynote, and they happen to be talking negative about problems within the job, right?
Okay.
What would you say to people who may want to avoid those kind of groups, or someone that still may be new to a company and organization, and they are optimistic about the possibilities?
Yeah, so the culture of a company is determined by what people say and don't say. And then more importantly, what we have to realize is that there's going to always be people that have negative energy. There's going to always be people that has something negative to say. There's going to always be someone who just is not happy. And my encouragement is that if you have the ability to recognize that, then distance yourself from that. But then also, what your response is to that negative energy, how you respond and or react to that person will dictate how other people respond and or react to that. It's like the old saying, the standard that we walk by is the standard that we accept and the standard that we set. And so if you allow someone to just talk negative and speak negatively, then that means you're okay with that, and that means that's the standard. And so now you're going to be surrounded by that negative energy versus if you see that negative energy and you call it out and or separate yourself from that negative energy, because the reality is that if we don't correct that negative energy in some form or fashion, then that negative energy is going to rub off on other people. We might have new people into the workplace, new people in our organization, new people in the industry, and if we're allowing people to talk negatively about the industry, that new person, those new people, they might not be as inclined to stick around, to stick it out, to give it a fair shot because they've already been tainted. So it becomes important that we individually control our inputs by controlling who we allow to speak into us, speak around us, and control for those inputs because they will dictate how we feel. And they will dictate our emotions, not only of the pieces, but then organizationally as leaders, we have to be mindful as to what we allow, what standards we allow around us, what standards we allow in our organization as it pertains to what people are saying. We can't control everything. But when you hear it, the question becomes, is what are you going to do about it? When you hear that person speaking negatively, how are you going to address it? When you hear that person that's always the negative Neo, how are you going to address that behavior, that conversation? And are you going to stay around it, or are you going to choose to vacate it? Are you going to choose to address it, or are you going to choose to allow it to exist in the atmosphere? So that negative energy has no place to cultures of commitment. And we all have a role to play when it comes to creating that culture of commitment. And it starts with what we say ourselves and what we allow others to say around us. And that's the culture that we're creating. Blue skies, fair winds, and all the best.